You can understand your thoughts, challenge them, even prove to yourself that they're not accurate, and still feel pulled right back into the same mental pattern. That's what we're going to dig into today. Because the problem isn't just what you think, it's how your thinking is being run. Let me explain this. There's a self-regulatory executive function in your mind. An executive function, and it helps you regulate yourself, okay? Basically, it's the part of you that organizes how you think, where your attention goes, and how you process experience. And in this video, we're just going to call this your self-regulatory function. So this function isn't producing thoughts randomly. It's actually running organized routines. And these routines are called plans. Not the plans you make Friday night, but the ones that are saved in your mind. They determine where your attention goes, how you evaluate situations, and what memories get activated, and how long you stay engaged with a thought. So when a trigger shows up, something stressful, uncertain, or emotionally loaded, your mind doesn't just create a thought. It activates a plan for how your attention and thinking will run. And that's the moment that everything changes. You see, your attention moves inward, and you start monitoring your thoughts, evaluating, comparing, searching for meaning, right? Your mind begins worrying, ruminating, or trying to control or suppress what's happening. Now, this whole pattern is your self-regulatory activity in action. Okay, stay with me here. For example, imagine you send a message and they don't reply. At first, it's just a situation, but then your attention turns inward. So you start thinking, did I say something wrong? And now you're checking your thoughts, replaying what you said, searching your memory for similar situations. And you begin evaluating, what does this mean? Maybe you try to reassure yourself, or maybe you start worrying. And at that point, you're no longer just in the situation. Your self-regulatory function has taken over how you're handling it. And when this activity becomes prolonged and rigid, when it turns to worry, rumination, threat monitoring, and persistent self-focused attention, right? These are all the things that we can get lost in ourselves doing. This is what's called a dysfunctional self-regulation pattern, right? It's dysfunctional. Now, here's why this matters. This self-regulatory activity in your mind doesn't just respond to distress. It maintains it, keeps it going. Because things like worry, rumination, or constant monitoring consumes your attentional resources. Your attention gets locked into a narrow focus, usually on threat, on yourself, or on your internal state. And at the same time, your mind starts pulling in memories that match that focus. So even if there's information in the environment that contradicts what you're thinking, right? Reality, your attention doesn't properly register it. It's too busy recycling the same responses. This is why you can stay stuck even when reality doesn't support your fears. And it's not that the information isn't there, it's that the way you're handling it blocks it. And this is where we move away from the usual approach. So instead of focusing only on what you think, challenging beliefs, looking for evidence, correcting distortions, the focus moves to how you're thinking in real time. Okay, so the questions for us change now. Not, what's the evidence for this thought? Instead, what are you paying attention to right now? How are you forming this judgment? What kind of evidence are you selecting? Are you focused on the situation or on your thoughts about it? Because these questions expose that process. They reveal the plan that's running underneath. And as you start observing your attention, your evaluation, your memory search, your responses to thoughts, you begin to map this default routine. And that mapping process is what's called metacognitive profiling. So you're identifying how your self-regulatory function tends to operate under stress. And at first, you won't do this cleanly, right? Most of the time, you'll only notice after the fact, once you're already deep in these loops or repetitions. That's normal. The skill develops through repeated recognition, not perfect control. And even late detection is progress because it weakens the automatic nature over time. Now, here's what's controlling all of this, and most people don't even notice it. Your mind holds metacognitive beliefs, not beliefs about the world and not beliefs about yourself, but beliefs about your thinking. These beliefs decide which plans get activated in the first place. For example, you might believe that worrying helps you prepare, that certain thoughts are dangerous or meaningful. Get it? Or that you need to control your mind to stay safe. And depending on those beliefs, your response changes. So if thoughts seem dangerous, you monitor them. If worry seems useful, you engage in it. If control feels necessary, you try to suppress or neutralize your thoughts. But those strategies, suppression, neutralizing, constant monitoring, don't solve the problem. They expand it. And suppression increases how often thoughts come back. Neutralizing links the thought to more triggers. And monitoring makes internal events more salient. So over time, more situations start activating the same self-regulatory pattern. And this is how the pattern spreads. Now here's an implication. If the problem is how your thinking is being run, at the level of plans and metacognitive beliefs, then changing the content of your thoughts is not enough. You can remove one belief and the same routine will just generate another. This is why you can stop believing something, change it, but you still feel it. Because the plan, the routine for worrying, monitoring, analyzing is still running, right? This procedure and plan, there's many of them. So we have to shift the goal for this now. Instead of trying to fix individual thoughts, you're learning to change how your self-regulatory function operates. And that starts with something very specific. It's called metacognitive awareness. That means you become aware of your thinking as it's happening, not just getting caught inside of it. Starting to notice when your attention turns inward, when monitoring begins, when your evaluation kicks in, and when you start trying to control or resolve your thoughts. And that awareness creates a different position. Instead of being inside the stream of self-regulatory appraisals, you're observing them. And this is where a crucial concept comes in. It's called detached mindfulness. It's not relaxation, it's not suppression. Detached mindfulness means your thoughts are present, but you're not engaging with them. You're not evaluating them. You're not trying to control them. You're not reacting to them. You'll just simply allow your thoughts to be there while your attention remains flexible, right? It feels like the thought is there, but you're not inside it anymore. That's what you want. You're not following the thought, not answering it, not trying to resolve it. And because of that, it doesn't escalate in the same way, right? This loop, this process. And importantly here, this is not about forcing your thoughts away or calming yourself down or trying to replace one thought with another. Those are still forms of engaging with the same pattern, with the thoughts. The change comes from noticing the pattern itself, not controlling its content. And this does something very precise. It prevents the full activation of the dysfunctional self-regulation pattern because that pattern depends on perseveration. It's the repeated, extended engagement with thoughts through worry, rumination, and monitoring. That's all perseveration means, right? When you drop the perseveration, you interrupt that sustained pattern. And that creates a condition that's essential for change. You can activate a belief so it's there, but without triggering it, the way of responding to that normally keeps it going. Now something different becomes possible. Your attention is no longer fully consumed, which means it can finally register what doesn't match the old belief. Something it couldn't do while it was tied up in the old sustained pattern. And this is what finally allows your mind to update. So this leads to something very counterintuitive for us. You don't want to eliminate triggers. You want to experience them without running the old plan. Because new learning, new self-knowledge only forms when your self-regulatory function handles real situations differently. And this requires practice. New plans are built through repeated changes in how you use your attention and thinking in real time. So you might shift your attention outward, let thoughts pass without responding, or stop engaging in worry after a trigger. And each time you do this, you weaken the old routine while strengthening a new one. It's key. And there are a few reliable signs that this is happening in real time, okay? One is that your attention stops taking in the outside situation clearly and starts pulling inward. Another is that you feel pulled into resolving something internally, like you need an answer right now. And another is that you start replaying, searching memory, or checking meaning instead of just staying with what's happening. Now, there's an important constraint here. You don't want to shut the whole process down. You still need the trigger, and you still need the activation, because that's what allows new learning to occur, right? We don't want to suppress or repress things or try to control them. Let the triggers happen. So the goal for us is specific. Activate the self-regulatory function, but block the perseveration, the prolonged repetition, working with it. Let the initial response happen, but don't extend it into a sustained pattern. This is why things like attention training or setting boundaries on worry can help. They don't eliminate thinking. They limit the kind of activity that consumes all your mental resources. The key intervention isn't to stop the thought or fix it. It's to recognize the mode you're entering. When you notice, I'm no longer just responding to the situation. That's what we need. I'm now caught in a pattern of responding. That recognition alone interrupts this automated nature. And over time, something deeper changes. You're not just changing thoughts, you're building what we call procedural knowledge. This is new automatic ways of responding to your internal experiences. It's great. New plans that don't rely on constant monitoring, control, or analysis. And as these new plans strengthen, your attention and your thinking become more flexible. They don't stop defaulting to self-focused attention, and they don't stop treating every internal signal as something that needs to be managed. One of the clearest signs this is working is simple. Less self-focused attention, less time monitoring your thoughts, less time evaluating your internal state, and less time recycling experiences. Instead, more time just being in what's actually happening without needing to manage your mind every second. Reality, the outside world, the situation. At that point, you're not trying to control your thinking anymore. And your attention isn't getting pulled inward in the same way. And the pattern that used to run automatically no longer sustains itself. This material is so crucial, and I hope that I'm explaining it easily enough for you. It is complex, but if you need to listen to this again, we are going to be covering this in different ways, from different angles in the future. So if you didn't get it right away, don't worry about it. And if you're interested in becoming a member, I will begin working on attention training modules, detached mindfulness, and that's for members only. Check it out. And if you thought that this talk was useful today, please like and subscribe. Thank you.